We are raised in a culture that worships the logic of cause and effect. We believe that we are the sum of our experiences, that our past acts as a heavy anchor dragging behind us, dictating the shape of our future. If we had a difficult childhood, we are destined to be anxious adults. If we failed at a critical moment in our youth, we are wired to be insecure. We use our past as a convenient narrative to explain why we are the way we are, and, more importantly, why we cannot change. This is what Alfred Adler called the etiology of human behavior, the idea that what happened to us determines what we become. It is a comforting, yet suffocating philosophy. It is comforting because it absolves us of responsibility. If our situation is the result of our past, then it isn't our fault. We can sit in the shadow of our history, lamenting our circumstances, and never have to face the terrifying prospect of taking ownership of our lives. But this is an illusion. When we look at our lives through the lens of cause and effect, we turn ourselves into objects, things that are caused to move by the forces of yesterday. We treat ourselves like boulders pushed down a hill, helpless to change our trajectory. This perspective creates a profound sense of helplessness. It keeps us locked in a state of resentment, constantly blaming our parents, our environment, or our previous mistakes for our current unhappiness. The reality is much more radical and much more liberating. Adlerian psychology suggests that we are not determined by our experiences, but that we give meaning to them in ways that serve our current goals. We are not suffering because of what happened to us. We are suffering because we have adopted a lifestyle that makes suffering useful to us. Perhaps we use our past trauma to avoid the risks of the present. Perhaps we use our insecurities to keep others at a distance, ensuring we never have to risk the vulnerability of true connection. This is the great, uncomfortable truth. Your current unhappiness is a goal you have chosen. You have chosen it because in some hidden way, it keeps you safe. It keeps you within the familiar borders of your lifestyle. To change, you must be willing to abandon the safety of your current misery. You must be willing to let go of the stories that have defined you for years. This is the first step toward true freedom, acknowledging that you are not a victim of your history, but the architect of your own destiny. Once we accept that we are the architects of our own lives, we are faced with the most difficult challenge of all: other people. We spend our days performing for an invisible audience, worrying about what our colleagues think, what our family expects, and what society demands of us. We live our lives in constant service of others' opinions, feeling that if we just act correctly, we will be safe from judgment. Adler calls this the failure to separate tasks. The fundamental principle for human liberation is simple. Whose task is it? Think of a situation where you are worried about someone else's opinion of you. You are stressing over their reaction, trying to manage their emotions, and feeling the weight of their disapproval. You are trying to step into their shoes and solve their problem for them. But their opinion of you is their task, not yours. It is entirely within their power to think whatever they want. It is entirely outside your power to force them to see you differently. By trying to manage their opinion, you are stepping over the line. You are trying to control what is fundamentally uncontrollable. Separation of tasks means that you do not interfere in other people's tasks, and you do not allow them to interfere in yours. If someone is angry with you, that is their problem. Their anger is their reaction, their choice, and their responsibility. If you have acted with integrity, you have fulfilled your task. What they do with that is their own concern. This does not mean you are cold or unfeeling. It means you are free. When you learn to separate tasks, you realize that you do not need the approval of others to be worthy. You do not need to prove your value through the lenses of your peers or your superiors. You are responsible for your own life, and they are responsible for theirs. This allows you to stand on your own 2 feet, even when others disagree with you, even when they judge you, and even when they reject you. This is the meaning of the courage to be disliked. Being liked by others is their task. Being true to your own values is yours. If you are honest, if you are living in accordance with your principles, and someone still dislikes you, that is a reflection of their own internal world, not a judgment on your character. To live a life of freedom, you must be willing to be disliked. You must be willing to risk the disapproval of the crowd to remain faithful to yourself. When you stop trying to please everyone, you suddenly have an enormous amount of energy back. You are no longer wasting your life trying to read minds or appease temperaments. You are free to pursue your own goals, to build your own relationships, and to move through the world with a quiet, steady confidence. You are no longer a servant to the world's expectations. You are a partner in the human experience. If we are free to pursue our own path and we don't need the approval of others, does this mean we become selfish? On the contrary, true freedom leads to true contribution. Adler believed that the ultimate goal of human behavior is to contribute to the community, to feel that you are a part of something larger than yourself. But this contribution must come from a place of equality, not a place of compensation. We often try to contribute to gain social credit. We help others because we want to be praised or because we want to be seen as good. But this is just another form of manipulation. We are trying to control how others see us. True contribution happens when you realize you have value just because you exist. You are an equal in the human community, regardless of your achievements, your status, or your failures. When you understand that you are an equal, you stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is the enemy of community. When you look at others as rivals, you're in a state of constant low-grade warfare, always trying to be better or smarter or richer. This is exhausting. But when you see others as your friends, as fellow travelers on the same path, the need to compete evaporates. You can celebrate their success because it doesn't threaten your own worth. You can accept their failures because they don't elevate you. This shifts the focus from, what can I get from this person, to what can I contribute? In every interaction, you have a choice. You can enter a room with the goal of being admired, or you can enter the room with the goal of contributing. The first path leads to anxiety and performance. The second path leads to connection and peace. Consider how this applies to your daily work. If you are driven by the need for praise, every criticism will feel like a catastrophe. Every minor feedback session will feel like a rejection of your entire identity. But if your goal is to contribute, to bring value to your team, to solve problems, to make things better, then criticism becomes nothing more than information. It is data you can use to improve. It is not an attack on your worth. This is the secret of the horizontal relationship. In a vertical relationship, you are either above or below someone else, constantly measuring and being measured. In a horizontal relationship, you recognize that while roles and responsibilities may differ, your value as a human being is exactly the same as the person sitting across from you. You treat them with the same respect you expect for yourself, regardless of their title, their background, or their history. When you live horizontally, you stop trying to control others, and you stop letting them control you. You start to see the beauty in the shared human struggle. You stop looking for validation, and you start looking for connection. You realize that you are already enough. You don't need to win the race. You don't need to be the best. And you certainly don't need to be liked by everyone. You only need to be present, to contribute, and to hold your own space with dignity. We arrive finally at the concept of self-acceptance. This is not the same as self-affirmation, where you look in the mirror and tell yourself you are great. Self-acceptance is the courage to accept yourself exactly as you are, with all your flaws, your limitations, and your imperfections. It is the ability to look at your life-size reality and say, "This is who I am, and it is enough." Most of our unhappiness comes from a discrepancy between who we are and who we think we should be. We are constantly chasing an ideal version of ourselves, a version that is more successful, more disciplined, and more loved. We beat ourselves up for not reaching that ideal. But the ideal is a fiction. It is a mental construct that serves to keep us in a state of constant self-judgment. True effectiveness, the kind that brings peace, begins when you stop fighting reality. You accept your starting point. You accept your current abilities. You accept the reality of the situation you are in. When you stop struggling against yourself, you finally have the clarity to move forward. You don't need to change who you are to be worthy. You change because you want to contribute, because you want to grow, and because you want to live fully. The change that Adler proposes is not a change of personality. It is a change of perspective. It is the courage to see the world as it is, not as you fear it to be. It is the courage to take the first step, even when you aren't sure where it leads. It is the courage to stop becoming someone else and start being yourself. As you move through the world, remember that you are free. You are free from the chains of your past. You are free from the necessity of other people's approval. You are free to be imperfect. You are free to be disliked. And in that freedom, you will find a strength you never knew you possessed. The path ahead does not require you to be a different person. It only requires you to be a brave one. It requires you to look at your life, all of it, the good and the bad, and own it. You are the protagonist of this story. You are the one who decides what it means. Take ownership of that power. Walk your own path with grace, with humility, and with the quiet knowledge that you have nothing to prove. You have only the joy of living, the pleasure of contributing, and the immense, quiet peace of being exactly who you are.